Welcome to Beaver Tracks, a damn good podcast where we bring you inside the world of OSU and share a behind-the-scenes look at Beaver Nation. I'm Kolbie Kopp, and I'm an admissions advisor at OSU based on our Corvallis campus. Thank you all for joining us today. Today, joining us on the podcast, we have 3 different tour ambassadors here.
I am Kennedy. I am going to be starting my senior year in September, so I'm excited about that.
So I'm Chanah. I am the recent grad. I am the oldie.
Hello, my name is Arrow. I am I'm going into my second year. I'm a transfer student.
A couple of things, the other questions that people had sent in just regarding like student life stuff quickly. What are some like good places to eat on campus? What would you recommend for like dining on campus, whether that's like a dining hall or a different restaurant or maybe other things and just in Corvallis?
Well, we gotta shout out Java Stop. Everyone loves Java Stop. We always gotta shout out Java Stop. It's so good. The bagels are I thought everyone was bluffing, and then all of a sudden I had a California bagel, and I said, "Amazing!" So they're good. I don't know, 5 for 1. That's another good place. I always ate so much pasta.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that is the reason why I gained a few pounds, because when I was a freshman, that was open and I went there every single day to get pasta or pizza. And so good.
I feel like Off the Quad and MU, kind of underrated. They have really good tomato soup and pesto grilled cheese. And that I was like always craving with tomato soup. So On the Quad really did that for me. So shout out Off the Quad. Shout out Off the Quad.
It is not my entire personality, but I am vegan, and so I do have a little bit of a dietary restriction. Unlike some people, that wasn't targeted. But one of my favorite places to go to was I'm actually blanking on it. It's a cafe inside of the MU. I want to say Nori, right?
Oh, is it the one that's like next to the SEC Plaza?
Yeah. That one.
Yeah. I don't know why I said that. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
North Porch? Yeah.
Love that place. Love their little sandwiches that they have. They have like little tofu sandwiches that are really, really great. I used to get those all the time. And then I'd buy a little bag of chips from the like grocery shop inside the MU, little convenience store. Pick that up and then take it outside and eat it out somewhere on the maybe on the MU Plaza or something like that. Outside of the OSU grounds, I am not a Thai chili fan, but I am a Torn Tip fan, which is the other Thai food place on Monroe Street. But I do understand the appeal of Thai Kitchen. It just is not my favorite.
Wow. I would say dining center wise, Arnold Dining Center. I am a South Side girly. I lived on campus for actually 3 years out of the 4 here. Wow. So yeah, I was on campus the whole time, but I stayed on the South Side the whole time. I lived in pretty much 3 out of the 4 residence halls in that area. But Arnold, there was this one night they had a barbecue night. Oh my gosh. When I say I had the best barbecue ever. Sorry, Arrow. But
I can't hear this. No,
the best barbecue. And I love their breakfast too. Amazing. So I would say Arnold Dining Center out of the 3, superior wise.
Yeah.
So.
I would second that or third that.
I've definitely heard that as well. So I've never eaten there, but I can probably confirm that is true.
Oh, also, let me shout out the sandwich bar in West Dining Hall. That was like my staple freshman year. And when I dream about those sandwiches, I crave those sandwiches to this day. So I will be going there before graduation because they were so tired of seeing me in that line. I'd pull up and they'd be like, please go home.
Yeah. Stop. Serrano's also in the West Dining Hall. Great place too. I like that. From all of the like Mexican cuisine on campus, I think Serrano's is the best one.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, we here at OSU love food. We're all foodies in some way, so we all have very strong opinions about certain things.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely good to hear because even like I know I get questions from students of like, what is a dining hall like? And I think there's even for me, like when I went to college, like you think of like dining hall food being like cafeteria food. I feel like there's like a negative connotation with that. But I feel like we really do have a lot of really good like eateries and dining halls and stuff on campus that people might be overlooking because they think it's just like dining hall food, but it's actually really good. So yeah, definitely like reassuring and confirming for students to hear that when they come here and maybe don't have their parents cooking for them anymore or aren't comfortable like cooking for themselves, that there's definitely going to be enough to eat and you'll be okay. But last thing, there's so many things I want to ask you guys about, but is a lot of people ask about like football games. Like, how do I go to a football game? How do I go to a sporting event? How do I get tickets for things? What is that process like? Do y'all know the process for that? At least from my understanding, most of those things are included in your student fees and you just have to reserve tickets. But what has your personal experience as students been like trying to obtain those tickets?
Yeah, I would say it just depends on the team we're playing. I've never had a problem with getting basketball, volleyball, or gymnastics tickets. Surprisingly, football is the one that kind of feels like we like to say it's like a Taylor Swift concert. Sometimes you have to be in a queue to get the tickets. So I think it just depends based on the team that we're playing. Sometimes when we do go against, for example, U of O, and we have home turf, your tickets will be free as it's in your student fees. And so those tickets, you have to immediately get on there as soon as the tickets open in the morning and stay in the queue to get those tickets. So sometimes it'll be a little tricky, but for me, I've never had like a serious big problem where like I had to, I never got a ticket ever. You just have to make sure you set an alarm or something. There's sometimes when it'll be during the week that tickets are still on sale. So yeah, based on the team, that's all it is mainly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember getting tickets for the UW game last year also was like warfare.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not that bad. Especially like there are a lot of sports on campus that like don't get as much support as they probably should. So if you're someone that really likes just watching sports in general, we have a lot of really good athletes that play for us. And then we also have I totally lost my. Oh, we have a lot of really good athletes that we play against also. So if you, if you like to watch live sports, just go on and scroll through all the events. They usually send out an email at the beginning of the week with all the sporting events also. So just kind of scroll through, get tickets to as many things as you can. Because I think especially living on campus when you're so close to everything, that can be a really good option, I guess.
I'm not a huge sports fan. I like watching them from afar. Where I live currently off of campus, I live like on the opposite side of where Research Stadium is. And so even from where I am, I can hear whenever the football games are happening. It is so it's nice to hear all of them, even though I don't like go and actually attend them. But also right across the street from me are all the like track fields, with like baseball, the bigger baseball, softball stadiums, whatnot out here. So it is nice to kind of just like while I'm walking my dog, be able to see those things. I do remember trying to get a football ticket, and I waited like 5 minutes too long, and I was sitting in a queue of like 30 something people, and I just gave up. But getting into that portal, definitely, like Chanah was saying, as soon as possible, set an alarm if you do really enjoy going to this like athletic events. Just getting there as soon as possible, getting into that portal, signing on, putting all your information in, and then getting your ticket. I will say we do online tickets most of the time for both like Research Stadium and then our athletic teams that usually play in like Gill Coliseum. And then Goss is the only kind of different one where it's like a physical copy of a ticket. But most people think it's really nice because it's like a souvenir from that day. So
For sure.
Another thing I will say that if you do not keep your ticket, it's possible to transfer your ticket to another student as well. That's something that I wasn't able to actually get into one game, but I really wanted to go. And thankfully, one of my friends, she couldn't go anymore because of the scheduling issue, and she had to go home. So she was like, "I'll just give you my ticket," and I was like, "Perfect." And so it is possible. So even if you don't get it on the first day, don't lose hope just yet. There might be someone you might know that just be like, "Hey, I'm not going anymore. Do you want my ticket?" And you can easily transfer over to yourself. So it's not that bad.
Perfect. Good to know. All right. A couple of last topics is a little bit about academics. Obviously, we have a big emphasis on research and hands-on experiences and such at OSU. Do any of you have any personal experiences of like research that you've been able to get involved in, or maybe like an internship opportunity, study abroad, that you've personally done, or maybe that someone close to you has done that you can maybe share with students about the different opportunities that might be available to them on campus in that area?
Go
For
ahead.
me, another club I was involved in was Pre-Med Society. And so thankfully, because of that club, there was a lot of opportunities for us to meet different doctors. And so that club was actually the reason why I got to meet my mentor. Cross my fingers, I'm hoping to be an OBGYN, so that's like the future goal of mine. And so when I saw that there was someone that was talking, I was like, oh, I'm going to this meeting 100%. And so that's where I was able to meet my mentor, and then she was able to introduce me to other doctors that I could shadow. So I got the opportunity to do a little bit of shadowing over the summer, and get to see a day-to-day life of an OBGYN. So that's what I did a lot of times, was trying to just get my name out there to other professionals that could help me grow in that aspect. And so shout out to that club. They helped me out a lot for that.
In terms of internships, I have one right now for accounting, and that was something that I did find kind of through the College of Business. One of the things I would definitely recommend, no matter what major you are, is the program Handshake, or like the website Handshake. That's really nice because it's basically LinkedIn, but it's specifically for college students. So it's a lot of internships and entry-level jobs and stuff. So you're not competing with people who have been in the workforce for 10 years and have a lot more experience than you. So the College of Business definitely hooked me up with that. And then a lot of times the preliminary interviews for internships and stuff like that will be on campus. So that's also pretty convenient in terms of, especially if you're in your first or second year, or even if you just don't, have access to a car or anything. It's really nice to have the opportunity to have interviewers come to you, at the very least to give you experience, but then also to hopefully lead to an internship or something like that. So, definitely the College of Business was very helpful for me in finding my internship.
I personally haven't done any internships just yet. I would like to at some point. I have done a little bit of volunteer work for some of my professors in like my soil science class. I went, and it kind of sounds nerdy, but like I grinded up soil into smaller like little granules so that we can like study them and look at them later, see how water moves through them. But I also got offered an internship, however, could not do it, where we were to go up to some like camping lodge up in the mountains. And once again, might sound a little gross, but or nerdy, but we were going to like get coyote scat and like check what, or like, was it coyotes, wolves, things like this, animals up there, and check their scat and see like what's going on with that kind of stuff, or what they're doing, what they're eating, things like this.
Well, and even if you hadn't had an internship before, obviously you've all had an on-campus job. A lot of
Yeah.
students also ask about that. Like, are there opportunities if I don't have work study to work on campus? And I know we always give them examples of like there are so many jobs in the dining centers. Like there are a lot of jobs on campus that you can get. Would you all agree with that? That finding on-campus work is pretty easy for students to do?
Yeah, I'll start. Whenever I first moved here, I knew I had to get a job, and so I immediately started looking around. Dining services obviously was like the best place to go to because they're always needing people, or at least it seems like they're always needing people over there. Then I got my job at the Welcome Center, which is better in my opinion, but it's neither here nor there. But I do know that there's a lot of like my soil science professor does reach out to students who are interested in it to do some like helping with soil science has like an online version of that class. And so they send out like boxes of supplies for like any sort of labs or anything like that that you need to work on for that class. And so you're kind of the one helping bag all of that stuff up, shipping it out to them, all that kind of stuff. So they are pretty much in abundance everywhere. I don't think it's very hard, truthfully.
Perfect. Anything else anyone wants to add on top of that? I think that's the general consensus is like there's a lot of different resources online, like through our HR website, Handshake, things like that to find on campus and off campus opportunities. But it's always good to hear from like an actual student that's had to experience trying to like find those jobs if they are limited or what that looks like. So that's I feel like reassuring to hear. But move to the next thing, mainly just talking a little bit about housing, because I feel like that's another big topic that students ask about. And I know we already talked a little bit about resident halls and things like that. But just maybe a little bit about what are good places to live on campus, depending on like what you're looking for. Like if you want to be close to like academic buildings, the library, or maybe you want to be close to like more athletic stuff like Dixon or Reeser. What areas of campus do you feel like are best for different types of people, or have any advice on that? Maybe different resident halls, preferences, any insight you can provide on that?
I didn't live on campus, so I'll pass that on to y'all.
Ken, you want to talk about the clusters?
Sure. So yeah, we have 3 clusters of residence halls. Chanah mentioned the South Side. That's where she lived. Yeah, shout out. So that is closer to our athletic buildings. So like Reeser Stadium, the soccer and track complex, Gill, all of that stuff. And then it's also a little bit closer to like the student gym, Dixon as well, and the IM fields and stuff. And then West, which is where I lived, that is closer to some of the first year academic buildings. And so I really liked it because I like to sleep as much as possible. So I would roll out of bed, I kid you not, like 15 minutes before my classes every day. So if that sounds like something you like, that's a really good option. And then the east side of campus is closer to the library. So if you know you're going to be there a lot, that's a good option. And then it's also a little bit closer walking distance to downtown Corvallis. So if you like to, or if you want to get off campus, downtown is so cute. No matter where you live, you should absolutely be hitting downtown. Especially when they have the Saturday market down there. It's so cute. But if you want to go a little bit more often, east side is definitely the place to live. But there is a dining center in each of those locations. So you're no more than like a 5-minute walk from the dining hall, and 5 might even be a little bit on the higher side. And then also all of the locations are, I would say, within like 10 minutes of each other walking. So you shouldn't have to worry too much about being like super far from your friends or your favorite dining hall or whatever. So I feel like that's also kind of nice, is they're all relatively connected.
Right. Anything to add? No? All right. There's some other things people are wondering on the topic of housing is, I guess this is like a threefold question. What is it like to live in the resident hall? Because as mentioned, I think there's a lot of students that like, if they don't have to live on the resident hall, they think that they don't want to, and try to find like off-campus housing. But maybe just a little snip of like experience living in the resident hall. Like, what was your experience like? A lot of students, or a student that had asked in the question box about like, how do I get my mail, or what about parking, like all of those things. So maybe covering some of those more like logistical things about living in the resident hall, what that's like. How do you get your mail? Where do you park? What do you do? If you don't have a parking pass, all those good things.
Yeah. So for mail, inside the resident hall, inside the dining halls, there will be a service center in there, and that is where you'll get your mail. You usually get an email from them saying that you have a mail inside there for you, and so you just go in there and scan your student ID, and that's how you can get your mail. The Poor Service Center and Arnold Dining Center, they have seen me too many times. Amazon Prime Day was my favorite day, so they've seen me a lot. But that's how you do mail. For parking wise, you do have to get a parking pass. A lot of times students try to get the R lot, and that's where you can park in front of the resident halls and in our parking garage by the stadium. Those are the cheaper ones. There are more expensive passes that you can park on campus if you're living off campus wise, but for on campus, our lots are like the best parking passes for you. And living on campus, I personally never had a problem with it, as I lived on for 3 years. I got to experience second year and above housing as well. There is that option if you wanted to live after your first year. It's more of an apartment style. So I got my own kitchen and a living room, and I was able to share it with 4 other people. So that's another option. And so that was kind of fun. Also, I lived in a living learning community. We went whitewater rafting. Oh my gosh, English. I was part of the Venture Leadership living learning community. And what a living learning community is, it's basically where you stay with students that have either the same interests as you, non-academically or academically wise. For example, Weatherford Hall, that's another resident hall on the west side. That is for the business students. And then we have like non-example, like a Venture Leadership Institute. I actually was able to go on a lot of hiking trails with different people on my floor. There was a whole floor of us. And the whole point of that living learning community was just for us to go and experience different outdoor adventures that we had. And let me tell you, whitewater rafting was an experience. I did not, my life flashed in front of my eyes for a second, but it was still really fun and a really good experience. So I kind of like it. Living on campus forced me to really be open and meet new people. I went to the school without knowing anyone. There was no one from my high school or anyone from my childhood in general that I knew from Hawaii that was coming to Oregon State. So I was all on my own. So when I even getting a roommate, I really didn't really know her either. So then it was all new, and it was the best experience. I still have a group chat with my whole entire floor actually from my freshman year, because we all still are catching up with each other. We all talk about what we're doing now in life, and it was actually really amazing. I really got so close to that whole entire floor my first year, and our RAs, amazing. They always made sure that we had events with each other so that we weren't just stuck in a room the whole time, and we wouldn't just be like sitting there and on our phones. Like they not forced us, but they made events for us to go to. So that's how it was living on campus. I think it was the best decision for someone that didn't know anyone at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved my RA. She just graduated like this or in June. Yeah, so she just graduated. The whole time we were on campus together, it didn't matter how long it had been since we had seen each other. She would always say hi to me. ask how I was doing and stuff. So she was wonderful. But yeah, I loved living on campus. It's kind of nice because it kind of feels like you're the center of everything. Maybe that's not necessarily the case, but that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like a lot of things revolve around you, and just kind of are created to make you comfortable and stuff like that. So I think it's just a really great experience to be so fully immersed in campus in your first year. And then, if you choose to move off campus in your second year, you may only be coming to campus for classes or work and stuff like that. So you spend a little bit less time on campus, which is totally fine and totally normal. But it's really amazing in your first year to get to know the campus like the back of your hand and really feel like you are the kings and queens of it in a way, I guess. So I definitely miss that feeling, and I really enjoyed it.
Did either of you participate in like the roommate matching portion of the housing application when you came here as like a first year student? And did you have like a positive experience with that? Because I know sometimes when students ask questions like, where's the best place to live? Like, what's the best resident hall? That's a very personalized response depending on what a student is looking for. And so sometimes it's like, well, it's also a lot about like who you room with and like who your roommate is. So that's why I try to encourage students to like really participate in that roommate matching system that they have the ability to do. So did either of you do that?
I did it.
Did you have a good experience? Yeah.
I did actually have an amazing experience just because I like to say it's like a dating app. I felt like it was a dating app. I had to literally explain everything of like, do I sleep late? Am I a loud kind of person? Am I messy? And so it asks really like deep and personal questions that they want to make sure that the person that they're trying to match you with has the same kind of living style as you. And lo and behold, I actually got to meet another girl from Hawaii, but she was from a different island, and she like was in the same major as me, and we were on kind of the same track. And so I was like, what is this? And so that's why I love the matching, because she is my best friend now. Love her to death. And so that's why they're the reason why we're besties. So amazing experience.
Very cool.
Yeah, I had a kind of an interesting experience. I filled out the questionnaire and I did the whole like roommate matching, talking to people, stuff like that. And I met this girl who we decided to be roommates and stuff. And this was kind of coming off the heels of like when the COVID restrictions were really like, yeah. So I graduated in 2021. So I came to school in the fall of 2021. I feel like that's all I need to say. And so they put us in a triple room, but they said they were only going to have 2 people in triple rooms for COVID reasons. But then as restrictions kind of eased, they said they were going to put 3 people in triples. And so we obviously panicked because we were like, they're going to give us a random person. Like, we don't know what to do. They did in fact give us a random roommate. And so all 3 of us moved in, and the girl that I had met online and chosen, she was really sweet. We just like didn't click in the way that we kind of thought we would. But the random girl that they gave us is now my absolute best friend. I guess UHDS knows me a lot better than I know myself, because her and I like clicked immediately, got along so well. We have been best friends since pretty much like a month after we moved in. And so we are currently in the process of moving into our house for this upcoming year together. So like, yeah, it worked out really well for me. It was kind of a strange and winding path, but literally would not have it any other way. And we talk all the time about how if it hadn't been for that moment, we never would have met each other, or we never would have become as good of friends as we are. So we definitely feel really lucky for that. So yeah.
Very cool. Such interesting different sides of the spectrum, but nonetheless, I still think it's good for students to hear, both of the sides, that like you can participate in the roommate matching, but also if you don't want to, like you can just be placed with someone. And still have really good experiences as well. But yeah, I know we've been yapping for a while, so we'll kind of start to wrap things up. Last thing is just, is there anything else that we haven't covered yet? Topic that you had in mind that you really wanted to share during our time here, or that you think would be important for a prospective student to know that we haven't already talked about? Or if not, what is like one piece of advice that you would want to give a future student maybe listening?
The first tip that comes to my mind is you don't need a car, not always. Unless you're traveling. Unless you're traveling a lot and going like up to the McDonald Dunn Research Forest or like going out on big events, I would highly, highly encourage for that first fall term to not bring a car. You, when you go back home, maybe for that winter break, you can really sit down and think to yourself, like, do I need a car? At any point during fall term, was I absolutely desperate for a car? If the answer is yes, then you can bring it back when you're coming back for winter. But I highly encourage, you meet so many people who are like out walking around, biking, on the bus, like so many other people. I'm very close with a lot of the like bus drivers. So it's it's really nice to like have that opportunity and have built that relationship because I didn't have a car. So that would be that's the first tip that came to my mind.
I know someone asked in the Q&A whether it's frowned upon to wear green on campus. That really made me laugh. I would like to say no, it is not frowned upon to wear green on campus, but do not wear the Oregon logo. Would definitely stay away from that. Why are you wearing that if you're coming here anyway? But yeah, green is fine. So that's my tip.
Green is my favorite color, so I wear green very often.
I will say, me too.
Yeah.
I would say for me, I know that we talked about a lot of resources already, but there is still a lot more that we didn't even get to mention that like we offer here at OSU. And so definitely recommend to just do a lot of research on the university. For me, I was someone that like just didn't do that much research until someone either told me about it or when I got this job. And then I saw everything that was provided and I immediately took advantage of every single thing. So that's why don't wait till a job tells you about the resources. Just definitely explore, because that's when I was like, wow, like there's so much that our university offers, even more than I expected. And just definitely do a lot more research and look at all those different options you have, especially scholarships. If you're coming from out of state, it isn't cheap. I know college is cheap. And so you need as much scholarships and support as possible. And so look at our scholarships. Scholar Dollars is the website. I applied for scholarships every single year until my senior year. And so that's what helped lower my costs a lot every single year. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for sharing all of your tips and insights. I have really enjoyed getting to talk with you all. It's been really great. So thank you all for being here, and to those listening in, thank you for joining us. We hope you can join us for our next episode of Beaver Tracks. It'll be a damn good time.